We're talking about davening, and the idea of davening is to go up to the Eibishter, is Lamai Adin Kates. But we're insisting that davening also has a property of Lamata Mata Adin Tachas, of bringing down. Now, in the class that I gave you, not the class of last Thursday, I'm sorry about Tuesday, I guess. I got sick. I'm sorry, I missed the class and I apologize. The class I gave you, not last Thursday, but the Monday before last Thursday, we had this whole idea about changing the world through Torah. Remember, changing the world through Torah. And there is Torah, Shabbat Tefillah, that Tefillah also changes the world. That's what's gonna happen. Okay, in case I confuse you, I'll say it one more time in simple. Davening by Pashtus is going up. But Torah, there's Torah in davening. And the Torah in davening brings down. So the Rebbe begins. Let's explain it. What does it mean in more detail? That although davening is about connecting to the Eibishter, there is the idea that through davening you change the world, which is the concept of Torah Shabbat Tefillah. So the Rebbe develops it by bringing, really, it's another Maimed. That's what this is. This is another Maimed. And if I'm not mistaken, it's a Maimed from the Rebbe Marash. I'm not even sure where this Maimed comes from, but I think the next piece looks like the Rebbe Marash. This is a Gemara. As a little child, my teacher had a teacher who used to tell us the stories from the Gemara in great drama. And this was one of the stories that he told us. It's a Gemara in Baba Metzia. It's not a Gemara in Brachas, but you would think it would be. That the Rebbe wanted to be Mechayim Mesim. Rabbeinu HaKadosh wanted to be Mechayim Mesim. So he asked Eliyahu Hanavi, who has the power of Tefillah to Mechayim Mesim? They told him Rab Chia and his two sons. They were all related. They were a bunch of relatives. Exactly how Rab Chia was there, they were all Krebim. So he got them together to daven, and his kavanah was they be Tchias HaMesim. Problem was that Tchias HaMesim is the second Baruch HaShemon Esrei, and before the second Baruch HaShemon Esrei, the first Baruch HaShemon Esrei is Ma'ashav Ruach HaMelech HaGeshem. If they were done what the Alter Rebbe did, he blew shades before davening. If Rabbeinu HaKadosh Rab Chia skipped the first Baruch, go straight to B'nei Achei Temimim. But when they said Ma'ashav Ruach HaMelech HaGeshem, the world was almost destroyed. You had to stop the minyan. You understand? But that's the story in the Gemara. Rabbeinu HaKadosh asked, who could be Mechayim Mesim through Tefillah? And they told Rab Chia and his children. So he says, okay, let's make a minyan. We'll get Rab Chia and his sons, and we'll finish this whole goal, so make Tchias HaMesim. But they didn't get to it, because Ma'ashav Ruach HaMelech HaGeshem blew the house down. Let's read. Isa b'Gemara, the Gemara says, Sheshama Rebbe Eliyahu of Rabbeinu HaKadosh, the author of the Mishnah, who's one generation before, right? You know how this works, right? Rabbeinu HaKadosh wrote the Mishnah. Rav, you heard the name of Rav? You know the name of Rav? Yeah. Rav is Rab Chia's nephew. It was the weirdest thing. Rav's father and Rav's mother were both a brother and sister in Rab Chia, because there was people who lived long, were married several times. He was Bar Achve, Bar Ach. He was Rav's father and mother were, because of Rab Chia was his uncle from both sides, but Kitzit. So Rab Chia is the middle generation. Rabbeinu HaKadosh is the end of the Mishnayos. Rav is the beginning of the Gemara. I can't hear you.
His parents were like half siblings?
Yeah. No, they were married and passed away. Is this?
They're step siblings. They share half siblings.
Their parents were step siblings, not half. They're not allowed to get married, they're half. They're step. Anyway, so Rab Chia was the source of the Braises. You know about Mishnah and Braises. Rab Chia and Rab Oisha are the source of the Braises. He's a very important man, Rab Chia. Okay, and he's mentioned often in the Gemara. He had a brother named Chizkiah. They were on the ball. They were cheder. Okay, and this is Rab Chia's children. The Rebbe heard from Eliyahu Hanavi that Rab Chia Bonav is doing Masavas. Rab Chia and his two sons are getting together. Ram Yit and Yankov to daven together. Hamid Oisam Rebbe Lifnei Ateva. So there's a few kvetches over here. 2 points. Number one, he's making a minyan. Number two, I never knew you could have 3 chazonim, but that 3 chazonim, 3 shliach tziburs, Rebbe and his sons were the shliach tziburs. And they had a minyan. People were there. It wasn't just as a shtil hate, a small affair. And number 3, Rebbe sent them. Okay, all these points are important in the Maimer. Number 1, they made a minyan. Number 2, Rabbi Chia and his 2 children were the chazonim, the shliach tzibur representing the kehillah. And number 3, Rebbe sent it. Okay? I can't hear you. Okay, that's the kasha. How do people be chazanim at the same time? So the lumdim would tell you, you know the lumdis. Today, kol olam mishtama. What that means? What that means? You can't hear 2 voices at once. Except in most of the chavivi. If you love it very much, you can hear 2 voices. The one example in halacha which is brought, where you say today kol mishtama is Megillah Esther. Because everybody loves this story, it's a good story. So if 2 people are reading at once, you yaitz Megillah Esther. So it must be that this class caller was mishtama because it was a milsa de chaviv. But okay, we just made that up. Hamid oisam Rebbe lifnei ateva. He put them on the Amid. Omar, so one of them said, Mashav Aruach, Menoshav Zeika. Okay, one of them said, Shmash Aruach, start to blow wind. Mayred Ageshem, Vasa Metra. And he said, Mayred Ageshem, and started to rain. Ki Moti Lemeim, Mechaya Mesa, Miragasham. I wanted to say Mechaya Mesa and bring people back from the dead, so the world shook. Okay, so I told you the story incorrectly. It's this. The davening was interrupted before they got to Tchias HaMesa. That's the bottom line. It didn't work. They couldn't. The Eibusher was not going to let Tchias HaMesa happen. The point is, here were people who daven and they daven, and whatever they ask for, they get right away. Now, how many kashas could you think of off the bat? They daven 3 times a day their whole life. They daven 3 times. If Rabbi Chia and his children are like the others, they daven every day. So why does it have to happen like this? That as soon as they daven, they get what they want. And you have to have all of these conditions. You have to have 3 of them together, and you have to have a minyan, and Rebbe has to send them. Let's read. Because if al-shich and the al-shich writes. I can't hear you.
Where are we?
We're in Brooklyn. We're on page Shin Pei Ches, last paragraph, 4th line. Page Shin Pei Ches, last paragraph, 4th line. Because if al-shich for the Meisha, al-shich writes. Shabakosho, Adishem, Sefasei Tiftach, Afiyagit Yilasecha, Rabin, the Ashur writes that every Jew and Jewess, you and I, when we daven, and before we daven, we say the pasuk, Hashem. What comes after Hashem? Kama. I told you that already. What comes after Hashem? Kama. Sefasei Tiftach, Afiyagit. Hashem, stop. You just told God, straight to face, my God, my God. Stop, think about it. You just told Eibishter, my God. Elikai, Kama, Neshom Mishanasate B'Teherihi. Elikai, Kama, Netzer L'Sheni Mirah. Think about it. We do this every day. This is not fancy Peshama, this is Poshet, the Siddur. The Kama is very important. You tell the Eibishter, the head of Chayin Eibishter, you and I, we're on first name basis. My God, stop. You just told the Eibishter, my God, my God. Svasei tiftach, open my lips. Ofia git hilasecha. So the Alshich says, Shabas chovas tefillah shmeina esrei, which is the beginning of the Sheikh shmeina esrei. It is, shetfilah seinu tiyeh kemei tefillas rabchiyah. That because we say Hashem zafasei tiftach, ofia git hilasecha, the power of our davening is equal to the Rabchiyah's. Now, girls, does anybody ever learn the Maimer Hashem Zafasei Tiftach from the Rebbe? Anybody? Nobody. Huh? There's only one of them. The Rebbe turned 50 in 1952. I should have told this to you last time, but I didn't. I don't think I told this. If I did, please tell me. I don't want to repeat myself. I forgot what I said this morning. The Rebbe turned 50 in 1952. Tafshin Yud Beis. And Bechlal, if you know anything about the Rebbe is this ultimate mix of complete bittul and complete gaiva. You know, on the one hand, the Rebbe has a strength that's infinite. On the other hand, the Rebbe has no mitzias at all. Abba Mamish, you know, Chassidus explains Malchus, the Rebbe is exactly that. So the Rebbe wanted to celebrate his 50th birthday. On the other hand, the Rebbe didn't want to celebrate his 50th birthday. So he called Chassidim into his room for a maimer. Okay? The next time the Rebbe celebrated Aleph Nisan was when he turned 60, 10 years later. Then the Rebbe made a Fabrengen, and he said two Maimer Chassidus, and he made a Had, and it was a big deal. And the next time after that is when he turned 69, Tavshin Lamed Aleph, when he said the Maimer that we all call the Maimer of Aleph Nisan, which as we should. the Mugad Kamayma B'Yem Mashtayasa, there was Yalaf Nisaf Shalom Alaf, 1971. And then beginning the following year, Lamed Beis, that became the big Yalaf Nisaf Abedeng initiative every year. Yeah, but in the beginning, the Rebbe had a very hard time celebrating his own birthday. So he called a group of Chassidim into his room, elder Chassidim, and some of the Bacharim also. Rabbi Yael Khan was there, and he wrote the Hanocha, he wrote the transcript of the Maimed, and then Tafshin Yud Beis never turned 50. You turn 50, you start saying Kapitel Nun Aleph. Kapitel Nun Aleph, we say in Kishmish Alamita. So the Maimed was Hashem Safasei Tiftach Av Yaget Osach. It's not a long Maimed. The Rebbe cried. The Rebbe was so emotional he couldn't get through the Maimed. That's what I heard. I wasn't there, I wasn't born. But I heard that I was very, very emotional. That Maimed was in this pasuk Hashem Safasei Tiftach. What does the Maimed go on? You have to stop talking, Chevre. You have to stop talking. What does the Maimed go on? The Maimed goes on a question. Okay, I'm digressing for a minute. The Maimed goes on a question. The question that the Gemara has, that the Maimed has, is that everybody knows that you have to have smichas geula l'tefillah. Please tell me you heard about that concept. Yeah. You heard about smichas geula l'tefillah?
Yeah.
Okay, the middle heard, my left, on my right side, no one ever heard of the smichas geula l'tefillah. I'm going to ask you again. Did you ever hear of smichas geula l'tefillah?
Yes.
Good. Thank you for telling me. I appreciate it. I know it's very difficult to speak in my class. Huh? Only half the class heard it. Okay. Smichas geula l'tefillah means that as soon as I go, you start spachbenes. You don't even answer Amen. When the Chazan says Baruch Atah Hashem go, you don't answer Amen. And by the way, just for fun, Lubavitch is of course weird, right? Most Jews finish. I mean, you girls don't pay attention because you don't have a dominion like boys do. But Haboycha B'Am Yisrael B'Yavad, they say loud. The Chazan. And Go Yisrael, the Chazan says quiet. In Lubavitch is Faked. Haberach B'Am Yisrael, you say quiet, and Go Yisrael, the Chazan says loud. But you're not supposed to answer Amen. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to say Baruch Atah Hashem Go Yisrael together with the Chazan. And the halacha is you're not allowed to make Amen on your own bracha, although Go Yisrael could be one of the exceptions. Like Uvnei Yerushalayim, Ira Kedesh Meina Baruch Atah Hashem Beini Berachim B'Shayim. Amen. Why do you say Amen on that bracha? Because you're finishing with the brachas of the Eraisa and you're starting with the bracha of the Rabbanon. The fourth bracha benching is the Rabbanon. But you say Go Yisrael with the Chazan, you don't have to answer Amen. Because you're not supposed to separate with Go Yisrael and Shmoneh Esrei. So the Chassidus asked the question, the Gemara asked the question. Hashem Safasei Tiftach Av Yaget Osach. It's an interruption. If we're so careful about Smichas geula l'tefillah, you can't even answer Amen and Go Yisrael. How do you put 6 words in between Go Yisrael and Shmoneh Esrei? And the Gemara answers Tefillah Richta. It's a long Shmoneh Esrei. We had it in the previous paragraph. That Hashem Safasei Tiftach is a part of the Shmoneh Esrei. So the nigla is 6 words are added before the word Baruch, and they're considered a longer Shmoneh Esrei, right? Shmoneh Esrei starts with Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Elokei Avosenu, Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yankov. These 6 words make the Shmoneh Esrei longer. Hashem Safasei Tiftach U'Yaget Osach makes Shmoneh Esrei a little bit longer. That's just in the Gemara. But Chassidus doesn't like that answer. 6 words makes Shmoneh Esrei longer. And Chassidus translates the word long to bring down Hamshacha. Those 6 words are the shoiv of Shmoneh Esrei. 6 words that you add before your Shmoneh Esrei make tefillah long. Long means that it comes down into the world. Long, A-K-E, coming down into the A-K-A, coming into the world, is consistent with this theme of Torah Shabbat Tefillah, bringing the Eibishter into the world. Okay, so I'm sharing this with you, okay? Let's go back to the Maimed. So we have 2 things. We have the Gemara itself, and then we have the Yalsha.
That means that without it would be Ratzai, basically, like the highest part.
Okay, let's say the official answer to your question is, I don't know. The actual answer to your question is, perhaps. And of course, you must understand what that means. The Chachamim come along and add something to Shmoneh Esrei, which anyway is, in some ways, is a Deiraisa, and the Rabbanon is more than the Deiraisa, which is not uncommon, right? The Hashem Safas, which not part of Shmoneh Esrei, does something that the Shmoneh Esrei itself cannot do. But the official answer is, I don't know. So you have this Gemara that the Rebbe sends a B'chir and his children to the Yamid, and whatever they daven for happens right away. That's question number 1. And number 2, the Alshach says that when you and I say Hashem Safasei Tiftach U'Fi Agit Hilasecha, We are the same madrega as Reb Chia and his kids. We got a lot of problems. Let's read. Ve'einei move, and I don't understand. Number one, how could we say, say nu, that our davening, look inside please. I'm 5 lines from the bottom of page Shin Peiches. By me saying 6 words before I start Maneseh, right? Hashem. What comes after Hashem? Huh? Good. After Hashem comes Kama. So far as I don't ever forget that. Hashem, Kama. So far as I tiftach afiyah giti l'secha. I have a story about that, but I don't have time to tell it. A great story. After class. It's such a gewaltige advice. I know a Jew's all saying, his name is Shlomo Galperin. He lives out in Brooklyn Avenue. I'm going to get punished for wasting time, but this is just too good to miss. So he grew up in Russia. In the dark years, he came out of Russia in 1970, 71. He grew up in Russia. He's a Chassidish Raman, he's a Chassidish Yid. He's a Chassidish Yid. But he grew up, he didn't have a normal life. He came as a bach, as a teenager. So he tells me a story that they lived in Tashkent, I think. There was a Yid who's very, very special. The Rebbe loved him. You could see the Rebbe's love for him was wow. His name was Rabbi Yossi Paltiel. Rabbi Yossi Paltiel lived in Almatah. He was taking care of the Rebbe's father, Tzion, for 30 years. He had a mikveh, a mikveh in his house. The Rebbe didn't let him leave Russia because of the mikveh. And then one day the Rebbe sent him a message. Come, you can go now. And the Rebbe was makar of him, Rabbi Yossi Paltiel. So I forgot who visited whom. But Rabbi Yossi Paltiel was together with the B'Shlem. B'Shlem was a kid. He was 14 years old. He was learning Tanya. So Rabbi Yossi Paltiel comes into the house. He was a very warm Jew. I met him. He was a Zisayid, a Vadam, a Zisayid. He came across as a very simple man. But there was nothing, he was a big man. I mean, he worked at the KGB, Gewaldik. He had a mouth full of gold teeth. When he smiled, his face glistened. He was a character. Rabbi Yossi Paltiel. And he sees Shlomo learning Tanya. He says, I remember when I learned Tanya. My father, my grandmother, Rabbi Shoni Moitin, was a Gaon, was a big, big Talmud Chacham, a very, very big Gaon, his Zayda. He said, he learned with me Tanya. How did he learn with me Tanya? He would read the words and translate, nothing more. And if there was a period, a pintele in the Tanya, he would say, pintele. You understand Yiddish? Period, comma. If in the print of the Tanya, I hope I'm telling the story correctly. I heard it from him. That his Zayde would teach him Tanya. He would push it, read and Tanya. You wouldn't say any pshat. Tanya, we learn a Braisa. But if there was a period, a pintele. So Rabbi Yosef said, I was agitated. My grandfather's teaching me. The whole limud was so boring. And then he's reading Pintelach. So I said, Zayde, Chos leins to the Pintelach. What do you mean the Pintelach? So Zayde said to him, as a hetman mit mir gelernt. That's how I was taught Tanya, and that's how I'm teaching you the Tanya. So Rabbi Yosef Nimaitin says to Shlomo Galperin, the Tanya was er gelernt von Zayden gedenk ich nicht. Aber the Pintele gedenk ich. The Pintele gedenk ich. That's the story. The Pintele gedenk ich. Now please don't know what the Pintele is, because I'm going to blow up. The Pintele is an atomic bomb. Okay. It could be a Kedusha, it could be a little... It's a beautiful story. It's a Chassidish. I don't remember a word of the Tanya. But the Pintele that he would say, I remember. The point, the period, this I remember. And please don't ask what a Pintele is. You can ask your girlfriends if they want to answer you. So, period, yeah. So Hashem, comma, don't forget the comma. Okay. So the first question is, how is it possible to say that our davening 5 lines about, please stop talking, should be like the prayer of his children, particularly when you include what the Gemara says, if Achei and his 2 sons are equal to Avraham, Yitzchak and Yankov, by me adding 6 words that become Hashem Safase makes me Avraham, Tiftach Ofi makes me Yitzchak, do me a favor. You add 6 words and your tefillah becomes like Achei and his children to others. And the second question is, look inside. Achei and his children daven every single day. Shachris, mincha, meirin. You know what? They were orthodox. They were from. V'afal became still. Ha'amshacha shayadei tfilas abchiyah. The fact that they would daven and immediately be answered, that their daven of immediate impact, which is Noshav Zeka, the wind starts to blow. Asamit, it starts to rain. And then when they came to Tchias HaMesim, Ragesh Alma, the world starts to shade. Ha'isa dafka happens only Kishehemid Oisam Rebbe Lifnei Atfil. There's two kvetches here, there's two nuances. Number one, the Rebbe is sending them. And number two, they're davening B'tzibur. So the question is, this is Pashta Shtikele Ein Yankiv. We're studying a Gemara, story of the Gemara. Rabbi Chia davens with his kids every day. I don't know if you can't say nothing happens, but it's not so immediate. You get Rabbi Chia and his children together, and you make a minyan, and the Rebbe sends them. 3 conditions. Whatever they daven for happens spontan, immediately. Why? And he explains, first of all, Al Yadei she'espalalu lifnei ha'teva. Because they went in front of the teva. The teva means the box, okay? And the box doesn't mean the Aron Kodesh. The Aron Kodesh is called the Heichal. When a Chassan davens, the Heichal is in front of him, right? Lifnei ha'teva means he's standing in front of the box, means the box is behind him. So what's the box? The box is the Sfadish Sefer potatoes that they keep in a box. That's called teva. And you stand in front of the teva. The chazan stands near the front of the shul. Behind him is the box where they're going to lay. That's called lifnei ha'teva. That's the taich of the words. Took me 55 years to figure that out, by the way. V'hoyu shluchei tzibur. And they are the representatives of the whole kehillah. So the Rebbe says, Hoya b'tfilasam ke'ech hatzibur. Their prayer has the power of the whole kehillah. When you daven alone, the Eibishter looks at you and decides if he likes you or not. You come with a minyan, the Eibush has to give you whatever you ask. So here are now the shliach tzibur. So now they daven with the minyan, but they're the representatives of the minyan, they're the shluchei tzibur. That's why it was effective. Then the Gemara says, the betfilas rabim tfilas tzibur ksiv. When many people, when 10 yidden daven together, the pasuk says, hein, it is true. Kael the Eibishter, kabir is something which is strong or awesome. Lo yimas, he cannot ignore. When you daven alone, the Eibishter decides if you deserve it, if he likes you, and so on. You daven with a minyan, the pasuk says, the Gemara brings it, halacha is, kabir lo yimas. Hashem never disturbs, never ignores the tefillah of a rabbin. That's why it's so important to daven with a minyan. Right, when the Frierdiker went out of jail, you know this, right? He said, and he explained that not only is it important to daven with a minyan, it's important to learn Torah also with a minyan. Limud HaTorah barabim, at a certain mile, you get 10 people together, the Shechina becomes the 11th man, and when you daven to the Eibush davens along with you to the Eibush, it's kind of hard for the Eibush to tell himself no. That's the power of a tzibur. Okay, now, Hagaman, even though, Shetfilas tzibur yeshna b'chol yom, every day we daven with a minyan. You don't have to have Rabbi Chia and his children to get together to be chazonim. Every day, you daven with a minyan. The fact that this prayer was so immediately effective, stop talking. Noshav Zeka b'chol, the wind started to low, etc. Is mipnei mailas Rabbi Chia u'bono, she'bedugmas always, because the people leading the minyan were Rabbi Chia and his 2 children who were the madrega of the others. But Rabbi Chia and his 2 children alone didn't work either. They davened that morning and nothing happened. They davened the day before and nothing happened. It's a combination of 3 factors. Mekol still, gam b'tfilas Rabbi Chia u'bonim. Even when Rabbi Chia and his sons davened, in order for the wind to blow and for the rain to fall and for the world to shake and say, excuse me, stop speaking, Tchias is not now, is dafke kishahoyu shluchei tzibur, is only when the shluchei tzibur. That becomes the second question, right? The first question is, how do I become like Rabbi Chia and his children by adding 6 words to a bracha? Hashem sefasei tiftach, v'yagit osecha. All of a sudden, my tefillah is a big deal. Number 2, Rabbi Chia and his children davened every day. Why all of a sudden now does it work? And of course, we all understand the answer because they're davening with a minyan. But we all daven with a minyan. And by the way, I have a hergish, which I could probably get into a lot of trouble for. 10 girls is also a minyan. 10 people is a minyan. Now, maybe you can't say Davar Shabbat Kedusha, but when it says in Tanya that when you have 10 Yidden in the room, the Shechina is present, It doesn't say 10 men above this and this age. 10 Jews in a room. The Tzibizitcher Maggid said. The Alter Rebbe says, Rabbi Yossi Paltiel, heard from my teacher, Tzibizitcher Maggid, that if you have 10 Yidden in a room and they're playing pool, they're doing Avedis, if a Malach would be present with those 10 Yidden and be overwhelmed with fear from the presence of the Shekhinah that shows up simply because there's 10 Yidden in a room. I don't know if you know this. There's 2 letters in Tanya about not talking in shul. The first one is not talking in shul bein mincha l'maydev, between mincha and maydev. It's not davening. Mincha is finished. Maydev is not yet. What are you supposed to do now? Catch up on the gossip. Alter Rebbe says that there's 10 Yidden in a room. The Eibishter is present to such an extent that if a malach would be walking into that room, be overwhelmed with and you're sitting and talking narishkeit. So Alter Rebbe said they should learn in Yainkiv. They should learn Mishnayis. You shouldn't waste the time doing Chamayim. There's a second letter which is not talking in the middle of davening. And you know when we learn these Igeres HaKedesh? On Simchas Torah. Isn't that good? Isn't that interesting timing? On Simchas Torah, when of course everyone's on their best behavior, you learn about how you're supposed to behave in the shul when you have a minyan. But the first Igeres HaKedesh is not even during davening. 10 Yidden zusammen. I have this firm belief. If you daven with 10 Yidden, doesn't matter they're men or women, obviously it's a mechitza, but if there's 10 Yidden in the room, it's on some level it's a tzibur. I'm not going to say it's all the halachas of tzibur, 10 Yidden bring in the Shekhinah. You don't need a b'chiyah. But here you have a number of factors coming together. It's 10 Yidden, and the b'chiyah is a chazan, and we sent him as a chazan. And of course the last detail, which the Rebbe has not yet focused on, is that the Rebbe was doing a chazan. Go ahead, talk loud and clear. My right flank is whispering a lot. You're making me very nervous, you know.
If women can technically make a mizumin, so that if there's 10 women, could they say Hashem?
I'm not enough. I want to know why women don't do by Machreinim. I'm really over-minded. My brain fell out. Halachically, I see no reason why not.
I know women who are like Rebbitzins.
See, there's Rebbitzins, and then there's the women who want to be who dance with the Sefer Torah by the Kais Lamaravi. I don't know what kind of Rebbitzins they are. There's a lot of things that women don't do that I don't understand. I bet it's verstehen nicht.
Is it like just a minhag?
I'm going to let you know something. If not for feminism, from women we're doing a lot of things that they don't do. If not for the fact that making women equal has become a klipa, Torah is a lot kinder to women than you know. But there's a resistance to it because it became a worldly thing. Klipas, women have to be like men. Not women have to be equal. Women have to be like men. There's a lot of things that women are allowed to do. But don't get me started because my daughter's in the room and she's going to come home and tell my mother and my wife and them and get a speech. Chamish katzai. Okay. Halachically, I don't understand why they don't. You're not allowed to make a mixed group of women and boys even on the bar mitzvah because of tznius. But separate groups, avodim separately, women separately, ktanim separately. Okay, it's straight out of. You know, when it comes to halacha l'maisa, you can't listen to a hippie like me. You have to speak to Harav Meir Rabbi Paya.
No, but I was asking a theoretical question because the Rebbe's going to say practically not.
So then it's irrelevant, right? If it's a theoretical question,
No,
you can.
it's not theoretical, but I'm talking about the Shekhinah.
The Shekhinah is there no matter what. The Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, if you get 10 Rishoyim Geburim, 10 Rishoyim Geburim in a room, Akol be'asad Shechin Teshaya la'olam. That's how Perikid Aleph finishes. 10 perfect Roshas. How many perfect Roshas have you met? 0. You know how hard it is to be a complete Rasha. 10 Rishoyim Geburim in the room, the Shekhinah is present. Go ahead.
Oh, can I just ask a little bit about...
But I can just not answer. Go ahead. You can just ask.
Like before feminism, women were not like having a young certification. How was it like because of feminism?
How do you know how it was before feminism? You weren't.
Because for like generations, like women didn't like.
Women didn't learn.
Yeah.
Women didn't go to school. There's a lot of factors that came together. Some of them are good, and some of them are bad, and some of them are crazy. And the good news is people like me and you don't have to make such decisions. This is on the shoulders of the Rabbeim, who decide what yeah and what no. I'm just whispering in your ear quietly, off the record, unofficial. That if not for feminism, there's a lot of things that women are allowed to do, that should do. Okay, I'm just not answering you, okay? And just leave it alone, just because I just want to keep my job, okay? Now, Let's keep going. Anybody have any questions or comments besides about women and feminism and benching? Okay, I'm reading on. So we have two big questions. How am I like Rabbi Chia by saying Hashem Zafasai Tiftach? And why did it take a minyan for Rabbi Chia's tefillah to work the way it worked? You could possibly explain this. Al pi hayadua based what says in Chassidus. The mizeh, from the fact shebechol bakosher shebechmene esr, that every time we make a request in Shemene Esrei, chaismim baruch ata Hashem, we bless the Eibishter. And what do we say we bless the Eibishter? Baruch ata Hashem. Say that again. I know, but what's the words after that? Right? I asked Eibishter forgive me, and then I say thank you for forgiving me. You say please heal the sick. Thank you for healing the sick. Please give me a good year in Parnasa, and we say right away Baruch ata Hashem Baruch Hashem. We ask Hashem for something, and in the same sentence say thank you for giving it to me. How do you know He gave it to you? Maybe He didn't. So let's read. Muchach, it's implicit, it's indicative, it's proof. Look inside. Shegam betfilas yochid. Even when a private person davens, ein shum sofik cloud, there is no doubt whatsoever. Shakadosh Baruch Hu Mamalias Bakashas, Hashem gives him what he wants. Now goes in the Gemara in Berachos, which we've read a few minutes before. We said hein keil kabel lo yimas, that only when you daven with a minyan are you guaranteed to get what you ask for. But if you daven alone, you're not guaranteed. The Rebbe said, I changed my mind. If you daven, whether you daven with a minyan or you daven alone, you ask Hashem for something, you're going to get it. Because otherwise, it's a bracha l'vatala. How could you say, v'neman atal hachis mesim? Anybody know Hebrew? V'neman atal hachis mesim. You are trustworthy that you will resurrect the dead. Correct?
Yeah.
Is that past, present, or future?
Future.
Baruch atah Hashem, blessed art thou, God. I'm not sure what art thou is, but it's a great word. Mechaya hamesim. Translate. Who resurrects the dead? Is that past, present, or future? When did He do it?
Maybe you're reaching a time above time.
Okay, it's a good answer. It's a good answer. Okay, but the bottom line is, tefillah is not only in pnimis, it's also in nigla. And in nigla, you're giving the Eibishter a bracha for something that you just asked Him for. Maybe He's going to say no. Maybe He'll say come back tomorrow. So the Rebbe says, I'll try to bring this in Tanya. You know this, because the Shuvah Perikid Aleph. Slach lanu avinu, my father, please forgive me, right? Machalon, okay, my king, please forgive me, right? Because you're a forgiving God. Baruch atah Hashem, blessed art thou. That's a good word, art thou. Hashem, Chamon, the benevolent one, Hamar, who forgives no matter how many times you do an Aveda. Yeah, maybe He didn't forgive you. How do you know? Alter Rebbe says it in Kasha, the Shav, the Bracha L'Vatola. And the Alter Rebbe answers the question with a Hiya Nisenes. The fact that we say it is a proof that it's true. So Chassidus brings, the Rebbe quotes the Eirat Torah, but it says in Tanya, you look at footnote 51, he brings first the Eirat Torah, and then he brings the Alter Rebbe in Tanya, that when you ask Hashem for something, you immediately say thank you, because it's for sure that you're going to get it, and you don't need a minyan. Not like we said earlier, hey, Kael Kabel Yimas, you're a minyan, every Yachid who davens, whatever you ask for, you get. Third line, second paragraph, shouldn't pay test, look inside. Ella, the only word is Azoy. Shabbatfilas Yachid, if you daven by yourself, Efshel Liyas, it's possible, Shashpa Tumshach Leila Maila. Hashem gives you ask for something, you get it. Anything you ask for, you get. Anything you ask for, you get. But it could stay beruchnias. When you ask the Eibishter for something, you get. I want you to know that the best example for this, when you go to the oil, you gotta ask. If you don't ask, you gotta ask. A lady once told me she didn't have children, and she had a cousin who was a big mashpia, and said to her, "Those who nudge get." She told it to her in Hebrew. So she wrote to Rebbe 100 letters. 100 letters! And she got 5 kids with those 100 letters. She was probably 40 when she had her children. But she nudged the Rebbe. You have to ask. You have to ask. You have to ask. You have to ask. He knows, but you gotta ask. You gotta ask. You have to ask. You have to ask. You have to ask. I'll tell you my to the Fidik Rebbe as a child. It's a gewaldige Maisa, but I don't have as much time as I would like to dramatize the story, so I'm going to tell it to you quick. The Frierdiker Rebbe said the first time I fasted Yom Kippur, I was 7. Yesterday's halachas and Rambam Shleisha Brakim Layim, as you know from Sefer HaMitzvahs, is Hilchas Yom Kippur. A 7-year-old is probably not allowed to fast. He feared because I wasn't supposed to fast, but I fasted. Why? Listen to the story. My father said to me like this. He used to call him by his full name, Yosef Yitzchak. I had the same name. I took for you from the house food, some kind of a cake, some kind of a juice, and some kind of a food. And I'm having for you in shul. Whenever you want to eat, ask me, and I'll give you. In other words, I'm not going to fight with you. I'm not going to say maybe wait another half an hour. Whenever you want to eat, ask me. But ask only me. Rebbe Rashab told the Frierdiker Rebbe, you want to eat Yom Kippur? No problem. Come to me. And the Frierdiker Rebbe said, I could not ask my father for food Yom Kippur. I couldn't ask my father. The Frierdiker was 7, but the Frierdiker verstanden that his father was not like every. The Frierdiker at 7 was not 7, you understand? And the Frierdiker Rebbe, he's like, I should come to my tata mit Yom Kippur and have a glass of juice. Says, is me ois gekommen? That's how he tells the story. I wasn't supposed to fast. My father just said that you want to eat, come to me. He said, I should ask my father for Yom Kippur. I couldn't do it. Anyway, but you gotta ask. You gotta ask. Anyway, keep going. It's possible that you come into this world also. It remains in spiritual levels. So 4 lines into the second paragraph, page Shin Pei Tes. What's advantageous about davening with a minyan is number 1, which is written in Chazal, says in Halacha. It's liked and it's received always, no matter who you are. You daven with a minyan, the Eibush answers. But the ikir is shahashpa nimsheches gam lamato, that what you ask for comes into this world. What's the next word? Begashmias. Before we said that when you daven with a minyan, you for sure answered. When you don't daven with a minyan, you lav davka answer. And now the Rebbe is changing. You always answer. A yid davens, you ask, the Eibush answers. Sometimes it remains lamaila, it doesn't come down into this world. And sometimes it remains beruchnis, even in this world doesn't come down begashmias. Machon can we daven with a minyan. Let me stop here and tell you a mice, and then I'll let you go, okay?
Why say begashmias here then?
No, because with a minyan it's begashmias. 1 second, give me a second, let me tell the story. Today's one of those days. I say kumtais. I have a friend who's a very interesting guy. Oh, he's older than me. I'm less than 60. He's probably 65. Retirement. He's not that much older. We had a chavrusa for a while. This guy went through a period where he was exceedingly wealthy. He was a multimillionaire. He used to bother the Rebbe. He was asked the Rebbe for Ashiris, and the Rebbe gave him brachas. He had Mernik Ashiris, and then he lost it all. And he wanted it back. He still wants it back. So he bothered the Rebbe some more. And he got new brachas for Ashiris. The Rebbe once actually told his father, Alav Shalom, tell your son that if the bracha is long in coming, you shouldn't worry, it'll come. And he's still waiting for it now. It's 35 years later, more. So the Rebbe told his father, tell your son that if it takes a while for the bracha to come, you shouldn't worry, it'll come. See, he's a very beautiful person. He has a lot of amunah. He's a very chassidish person. A lot of bittul, a lot of amunah. He's one of those people that gets up in the middle of the night, doesn't go back to sleep, he says Tillim. He's that kind of Jew. He's like, I'm all Yid. But mamish, I'm all Yid. So he tells me, I went by Dallas. Told me, I had a chavrus with him for a while. And they walk by the Rebbe. You know how Dallas goes. Bracha v'atzlacha, bracha v'atzlacha, bracha v'atzlacha, bracha v'atzlacha. It's very fast. So the Rebbe gives me a dal bracha v'atzlacha. And I said to the Rebbe, he tells me, I said to the Rebbe, in Yiddish, ich will eincashen the brachas. I want to cash out, I want to withdraw. I want to cash out the brachas. I want to withdraw the brachas. The Rebbe turns and looks at him as well, gives him another dollar. Oh, main, so makuyim werden bepoyel. Gives him a second dollar. Oh, main, give him a bracha on the bracha. It should happen actually. So the Rebbe says in this Maimon, there's no such thing as a Yid ask, he doesn't get. But there's gashmis and there's ruchnis. There's this world and other worlds. The mile of the tibur And then it happens here. We're in the middle of a sentence, okay, and I'm stopping the class, but now it's your turn to ask your question, young lady.
Yes, so, and there's always the minute is always begashmis, is it sometimes only come down?
That's, okay, wait, there's more. Okay, good Shabbos, kid.